Speaking of getting old, Matthew Ryan,
Old.
37 years old. He has been put out to pasture. Even though he is injured, the Colts went to great pains to say his benching was not about his injury. Like Jim Irsay basically took the microphone and said, I want to put it in the paper. This is not because he's hurt. Like almost literally. Like, don't put it that because he was hurt. It's because he was bad.
Right.
And I no longer like him.
That's right.
And it does actually kind of sound like this was an owner-driven benching. I mean, in some ways, you can look at it and like if you were like only looking, say, at the newspaper, if those still exist, you would see the Indianapolis Colts are 3-3-1, and right in the thick of it in a very, very bad, as always, AFC South division. But you don't have to do much prying to kind of figure out why Matt Ryan is being benched. One of the worst in the league at EPA per play, one of the worst in the league at every conventional metric, spectacularly failing the eye test as like a player who didn't have much speed or like movement agilities to lose and has now lost that, just is not moving at a level you need to be moving in the NFL, has as many interceptions as touchdowns. It kind of seemed like it was time, but with players like Matt Ryan, they usually get to hang on for much longer than like long past time.
Yeah.
So it is a pretty shocking move. Just kind of what are your thoughts on this? What kind of our thoughts be on Sam Ehlinger, who entered the league with a bit of a dual threat pedigree coming out of Texas, but also an inaccurate pedigree. I mean, probably being thrown to it's a unique situation that he's being thrown into the fire at 3-3-1. Sam Ehlinger, and just kind of where to begin with this Colts quarterback situation.
Yeah, I have to say I respect the hell out of Irsay for being like, if you're listening, it's because Matt Ryan stinks, not because
I know.
He's injured.
I appreciated the clarification because that is, I mean, they passed up like the textbook move. Oh yeah, he's got a shoulder injury. Yeah,
no, it's not what happened. They were very clear. All right, so my initial thoughts on this is that the short-lived Paris Campbell season is over completely. You can drop him in all leagues. Alec Pierce gets a huge bump, I think, as the only downfield threat the Colts have, and Ehlinger has a strong arm, and I think he has been known to let it rip. Ehlinger himself passes what I call the pulse test, in that he has one. So you can roster him in Superflex leagues. But other than that, I don't know if he's going to have much usefulness in one quarterback formats. Again, this is bad. This is bad for all the pass catchers, I think, except for Pierce, who probably will get a few more downfield looks. Now, Matt Ryan, the reason I said on the last week's show, I said, I think I'm prioritizing Paris Campbell, and I should have been more firm about this, Pat. I said, I want Paris Campbell over Alec Pierce, but I didn't say it that directly, but I meant it because Matt Ryan was averaging a league low 5.9 air yards per attempt. Okay. That does not fit the Alec Pierce profile. It fits the Paris Campbell profile. And Campbell went out and scored 23 PPR points this past week against Titans. But that's all over now. I hope you enjoyed it, because that you're not getting that back. And Michael Pittman probably becomes like a wide receiver, like bottom range 2.
He'll probably still be in the top 20, especially with bye weeks. If we're looking at like a full slate, there are 30 teams playing this week. Maybe he kind of has to be on like wide receiver 20 to 24 probation, as we just see like what in the world is going on with Sam Ehlinger against the Washington Commanders.
Right. So, and it's definitely not good for the running backs. I don't think Ehlinger profiles as a guy who's going to check down very much. All those short, quick throws that Matt Ryan was throwing over the past 2 weeks, all of those go away, I think.
So, yeah, I think I have a lot of like kind of like going forward thoughts. One thought, just like writ large on the Colts, is this seems to be a shot across the bow at Frank Reich, obviously, and also at Chris Ballard, that maybe Jim Irsay is just kind of, he's over this era of Colts football, and a lot of the shine is kind of worn off Chris Ballard over the past year or two. It's worn off of Frank Reich, who's gone from the quarterback whisperer to like failing back-to-back reclamation projects. And I do also think too, it's like part of this is like, the Colts offensive line like hasn't been helping Matt Ryan out. I think this is also maybe like part of a Colts belief. I'm totally projecting here that Matt Ryan is making the offensive line look worse than it actually is.
Yeah, sure.
Because as we know, offensive line play can frequently actually just be quarterback play.
Yeah.
And when Matt Ryan, every defense that's facing the Colts knows Matt Ryan cannot move. you play defense, it's totally different. You can take more chances. You don't have to respect the deep passing game. You can tee off on the quarterback more. I think this might be a way too for the Colts. I'm pretty sure the Colts probably think their offensive line is better than it has looked with Matt Ryan. Of course, it's a recommitment to the running game. You don't put in like a former 6th-round pick who's known as a dual threat if you're not going to recommit to the run game. So Jonathan Taylor, even before the ankle injury, his touch counts have been kind of shaky. I think he only had like 15 touches or something in his week 7 return. I think we're going to see a full-on recommitment to the running game. And like the week 6, like 58 attempts or whatever, obviously a total mirage. I mean, I think even now like 30 attempts could be difficult to get to for a while for the Colts passing game. And real bad for everyone not named Michael Pittman. I do think so. Last week I tried to talk you off of Paris Campbell because I'm like, well, Alec Pierce, I know he doesn't fit this skill set, but I think Alec Pierce's role is sticky. He's like he's the designated downfield guy. I still think that might be kind of true, even with Sam Ehlinger.
No, I do too.
Alec Pierce says, his targets could remain like surprisingly sticky at like 6 to 8. And even though the overall attempts will be going down, I think they will still try to funnel as many looks as possible to Michael Pittman. I don't think it hurts Pittman and maybe Pierce that bad. Totally agree with you. The short-lived Paris Campbell season is fully over.
Yeah. I thought I picked him up in a couple of leagues and I thought, we're going to get this terrible quick hitting Colts offense for the rest of the season. Might as well plug in Paris Campbell as a guy who's going to see 10 targets a game. That's definitely over. Alec Pierce is still going to be frustrating, I think, for fantasy because, he's going to see 5 to 7 targets. And if he doesn't hit on one of them, it's going to be, pretty bleak. But if he hits on one and if he hits on 2, you're looking at a huge week. So just embrace the volatility there, I think, if you have to with Alec Pierce. Yeah,
he's from kind of the Marquez Valdez-Scantling school of fantasy where 0-point floor, but the kind of guy who can change a week, flip a matchup on only 2 or 3 catches. If one of them happens to be like a 45-yard touchdown.
Yes.
Or even just like a 45-yard non-touchdown. So, don't go dropping Alec Pierce. I mean, not that anyone's probably like racing out to drop Alec Pierce. Like, I know we have like emotional droppers. Like they just saw the news Monday afternoon. Like, well, that's it. I'm dropping Alec Pierce. I'm not even adding him. I think you can kind of wait and see with Alec Pierce. Are we streaming Sam Ehlinger against the Commanders? We haven't even have any data on this.
So I think because of he has some rushing juice, and you got to give that to him. And I think that provides some floor. So even if he's not great through the air, which he probably won't be, he might be a guy who takes off and gives you, that 30, 40, 50 yards on the ground. That's incredibly valuable. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown on the ground. Passing touchdown on the ground fantasy wise. So I think there are better streaming options. Daniel Jones comes to mind, a couple other guys, but 14-team league. I think you're looking pretty strongly at Ehlinger if you don't have an elite option.